We all need to do our part to crack down on bad actors using AI to exploit and abuse real people, including children. I want to thank a number of folks in our office who have helped to put this together: Sarah Eisenberg, Ron Lee, David Lauk, Miguel Gradia, Christine Wong, Chris Menasudis, Katie Dunn, Martina Hassett, as well as Karun Talak, who you'll hear from in a moment. And at this time, I want to invite up our Chief Deputy City Attorney, Yvonne Moret, who first brought this to my attention and spearheaded this effort in our office. Yvonne.
Thank you, David. So as David said, my name is Yvonne Moret, and I am the Chief Deputy City Attorney. I oversee all litigation, both affirmative and defensive, in the office. And I am speaking today not only as this office's Chief Deputy, but as a mother of a teenage girl. A few months ago, I read an article about a 15-year-old girl who had AI-generated, non-consensual, pornographic images created of her. The article not only described the personal pain, violation, and humiliation that this girl faced and that was wrought on this girl, but also her mom's profound exasperation that she had no ability to hold those who had created these images accountable and no way to stem the harm that was facing her child. I was horrified and frustrated, honestly. Horrified and fearful, thinking of my own 15-year-old daughter and how she would feel if her autonomy was stripped from her, her image distorted, her privacy wholly disregarded. And as a lawyer, I was frustrated. How can it be that this pernicious practice can go on without consequence? That seemed wrong and unfair, and it made me angry and motivated. So I spoke to David, the city attorney. We put together a team, which largely sits here, flanking me, and we started to investigate these actions and building a case. And we quickly learned several things. First, as David indicated, this is an enormous national and global problem. Businesses and websites that conduct these malicious practices have evaded enforcement. Individual victims of this conduct have little practical and legal recourse. It's very difficult for victims to determine what websites were used to nudify their images, because these images don't have any unique or identifying marks that links you back to the websites. Once these images are distributed, it is almost impossible for victims to pull them back, to remove all copies from the internet, to unring the bell, if you will, leaving these images to circulate online without abating. This is sexual abuse. It is offensive, it is illegal, and it is actionable. The city attorney's office has a long history of bringing affirmative litigation to address the challenges of our time. This is one of those challenges. And as my colleague Sarah Eisenberg always says, we are channeling our anger here. We are mounting this fight to stop these illegal and unfair practices. So as a public lawyer and as a mom, I am very proud of our office and extraordinarily grateful to the city attorney and to my colleagues for their incredible hard work. This is a challenging fight, but it is one worth having. But as David said, we cannot do it alone. We need to come together to do everything that we can to stop this activity, to support and protect women and children from predators. So with that, I'd like to invite my colleague Karun Talak to speak and discuss a little bit more about how these websites work and the claims that we're making.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Karun Talak. I'm a deputy city attorney, and I'll be talking a little bit about how these websites operate. So to take a step back, the starting point for these websites is the availability of powerful, sophisticated, open source AI models that are able to generate new images or modify existing images in realistic ways. Because these models are open source, that means that anyone can access them, modify them, adapt them for their own purposes or uses. In and of itself, that's not a bad thing. This can foster innovation and collaboration, but it also means that these models can be exploited for illegal and harmful uses. And that's what's happened here. So bad actors have taken these incredibly powerful models, they've retrained them, conditioned them using pornographic images, images of child sexual abuse material, and created new versions that are highly effective at generating realistic pornographic images of real identifiable people entirely without the consent of the people depicted. This is the technology that backs up these websites that purport to undress or nudify images of primarily women and girls. As the city attorney mentioned, the defendants that we are suing in our lawsuit operate 16 of the most popular websites worldwide that offer to undress images of women and girls. Let me talk a little bit of what these websites look like. These websites offer an easy-to-use interface that invites users to simply upload an image of a clothed woman or girl, and with the press of a button, the website can generate a highly realistic nude or pornographic image of that person, often in a matter of seconds, and again, entirely without that person's input or consent. These websites are clearly intended to create non-consensual nude images of these women, and they're not shy about this fact. To quote just one website, quote, "Imagine wasting time taking her out on dates when you could just use website X to get her nudes." That really is the motivation and the clear indication of what these websites are being used for and what they're put out there for. And the owners of the websites profit from this content. They require users to subscribe or to pay a fee to generate nude images. We know the identity of some of the website owners, but many have hidden in the shadows. Through this lawsuit, we hope to obtain their identities so that we can hold them to account. As Yvonne mentioned, these websites have so far operated with impunity because of the many challenges that individual victims face, both legally and emotionally, to deal with this problem. But we believe that these websites are violating numerous state and federal laws. As the city attorney mentioned, there are state laws that ban deepfake pornography. There are state and federal laws that ban revenge pornography. And with respect to the websites that nudify images of children, state and federal child pornography laws. Our lawsuit also alleges violations of California's unfair competition law, which is the state's umbrella consumer protection law. And through this lawsuit, we hope to hold these 16 websites accountable and send a message to all the other websites that exist out there and continue to perpetrate this kind of conduct. And with that, I'll invite the city attorney back up to facilitate questions.
Thank you to Yvonne and Karun, and happy to answer any questions or have anyone on our team answer your questions.
Real quick, do you know perhaps what AI models in particular investigations that bring that up, what models would be used to create these images?
From looking at the websites themselves, you cannot definitively determine what specific model is being used. We know that some of the larger open source AI models out there include Stable Diffusion. We know that earlier versions of that model were susceptible to this kind of exploitation, while newer models that have been released of Stable Diffusion have various safeguards in place, as we understand, to make it extremely difficult for them to be used for this purpose. Because they're open source, those earlier versions are still out there, and modified versions that are trained on it still continue to exist online.
I think one of the most important things, just to characterize them, we're talking about free, sophisticated, open source AI models. Diffusion AI is one example of that. Yes? So there are many victims who have already shared their story with the press, who have courageously stepped up despite what has happened to them. You can actually read about these stories. I think we reference some of them in our materials. So that's how you can reach them. Others?
The lawsuit states it's state of California versus. Is this eventually going to go through the Attorney General's office, or is the San Francisco Attorney General?
So our office has similar civil authority as our Attorney General to bring lawsuits in this space, particularly under the unfair competition law in California. So just as we have brought lawsuits against the opioid industry, payday lenders, gun manufacturers, fossil fuel industry, we're able to do that here. because of the fact that these are actors that have violated state and federal laws as well as engage in unfair practices. That gives us the ability to bring cases on behalf of the people of the state of California. Others?
Can you speak to the jurisdictional question a little bit here? Since it sounds like a lot of these websites actors might not be based in California at all.
Sure. So certainly the fact that we have victims and survivors here in California help to give us jurisdiction. The fact that they are violating California laws gives us jurisdictions. But certainly there are actors outside of California who are engaged in this, and our hope and intention is to hold them accountable under the laws of our state and our country.